Hi, this is David Sagasti-Zado. I am in the Intro to Digital Media class under Professor Boss. Today I have brought two of my lovely friends to help talk to me during this podcast that is for one of the class assignments. We have Ross William Stockman.
Hi.
I always feel like that's your last name for some reason. I don't know why. I just like, oh, that's his last name. It's like, wait, no.
Yeah.
And then I have Erica, and correct me if I say this like totally wrong. It's like Nadolski.
Yeah, that's exactly right, actually.
Nice. So just to do a little bit of an introduction of myself, and then I'll introduce my two guests. Um, I am David. Like I said before, I really enjoy talking to people and having these kinds of conversations like we're gonna have today. And I really enjoy playing video games. I enjoy making games. I spend a lot of time doing that as a hobby. I'm actually going to school for it right now. I enjoy playing Dungeons and Dragons with friends and family, and just spending time with people as much as I can, even if it's just talking to them over like something like Discord. And so to introduce Ross a little bit, I've known Ross for definitely over 10 years now, I think.
Probably.
I met him when I was like 12. It wasn't short. It was shortly after we moved to Oklahoma, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's always just been. He was friends with some of my older siblings whenever I was younger, and so he just always was around because my parents liked him, all of his younger siblings liked him, and all of my older siblings liked him, obviously, since they were friends with him. And so he's just been like a lifelong family friend. Um, he agreed to do this podcast with me for who knows why, because I always tease him now and make fun of him, and he's constantly talking about how much he hates me. But
Uh, True.
so he agreed to do it though.
Uh,
So
yeah.
it's awesome of him to do that. He is a pretty chill guy. I remember for a while I would go over to his apartment when he was living with my brother and my cousin Gabe and Felipe, and I would just see him like every day because I was over there all the time. I don't really think it annoyed him, but it
You're good. You're good.
definitely might have at times because I was there a lot. I practically lived there. Um, and then Erica, my dear friend Erica. So I met her at OU campus a few years ago. I met her at church. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we have like missionaries that go out and do stuff and talk to people and teach them. And so some of those missionaries actually got in contact with her, and I went to some of her lessons with them, and she didn't join the church, which is fine, but we became friends, which is even better, which is, in my opinion, could even be like a better outcome than her joining my church. Like, I'm so thankful for the friendship that we like kind of started there, because like it didn't really like pick off from there super, like it wasn't like, how do I put this, a super relevant friendship in my life at the time. It was kind of like on the back burner heating up. But during around the start of COVID, we started talking, and through the years we had kept in contact because I was like 5, 6 years ago whenever we first met. We would keep in contact and we would say hello to each other every once in a while. But like I said, it was kind of like on the back burner. But at the beginning of COVID, which was that like 2 years ago now?
Almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dang. So almost 2 years ago, we started to reach out to each other more, and I don't know. I think I started reaching out to you more, and it was just like I just started like putting effort into like kind of starting that friendship. I don't know if it was because I was bored or if I was like, we were friends before, let's be like even better friends now, or I can't really remember exactly what it was that inspired that like desire to reach out to you. But whatever it was, I am certainly glad that we started to talk more because we have quickly over the past 2 years. I guess that's not like a quick amount of time, but we quickly from that beginning became pretty close and started talking a lot more. And we talk usually at least once a week and have almost for those 2 years. Maybe not that regularly, but pretty close to that regularly. And we've just stayed in contact over the years, and um, we're now really good friends. We had a conversation on the phone the other day that was really fruitful and nice for me. And pretty much all of my conversations that I have with her are really intellectually driven, and just really inspiring to me in one way or another, whether that be like through intellectually, religiously, or spiritually, or like emotionally, or just one of those different types of conversations you can have with someone. She's a very good conversationalist. And so enough about me introducing you guys. I love hearing things from the source material. So Ross, if you could go ahead and go first and talk a little bit about yourself and what makes you qualified to be on a podcast.
Hi, I'm Ross. I've been David's friend forever. And I don't know why I'm here. I'm just doing this. So, hi. That's it. That's all I got.
It's a good enough reason. It's a good enough reason. Sometimes, I feel like a desire to want to do something is almost as good as just, you know, having like a really good reason to do it.
Yeah.
Because there,
I I agree.
I don't want to get too off topic, I guess, since we haven't even discussed the topic yet. But it just makes me think about how like there's people who are like naturally born good at things, versus people who put a lot of work and effort into them, and a lot of the time they can get to the same exact point of like skill level in something, and so it's like I don't see anything wrong with just wanting to do something and then doing it.
I agree. Uh, anyway,
Erica, if you could introduce yourself, that would be wonderful.
Hello, I'm Erica. Like David said, I met him when I was living in Oklahoma, like, yeah, 5-ish years ago, because I was going to school down there. And now I live in Indiana and I'm still in school up here. Now I'm getting my PhD in biology. But I still keep in touch with David and a bunch of other people from Oklahoma because I made a lot of friends down there. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So, since introductions are kind of out of the way, I do want to bring up the topic that I chose for us to discuss. So, funny enough, talking about two people that I've known for quite a while and people that I keep pretty in contact with regularly. Ross more through like just Discord, where it's like group chats where we're like all talking together, versus like Erica, where it's more one-on-one interaction. I wanted to have us talk about making and maintaining friendships. So I first wanted to start off with the idea of making friendships because you can't really maintain something you don't even have, obviously. Um, Ross, in your opinion, well, first of all, I wanted to talk about a little bit about how like I guess two sides of a coin make friends, in the idea of like introverts and extroverts. So, with both of you, starting with Ross, are you more introverted or extroverted?
no, I'm an introvert. Yeah, totally an introvert.
And then Erica?
Um, I am not totally sure. So I think growing up, I always thought of myself as an extrovert. Because I do like being out in like social situations and I like meeting people. But recently, in the last couple of years, I heard the distinction between those two explained to me as um, if you're like feeling kind of low, what do you do to like kind of build yourself up and what kind of like replenishes your energy? And apparently, if you're an extrovert, you feel energized after you spend time with people. And so you like seek that out when you're feeling low. And then apparently, if you're an introvert, you feel more refreshed after you've spent time by yourself. And by that definition, I definitely feel like an introvert. So maybe I'm an extroverted introvert.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard that definition of the two before as well, and it always like kind of baffled me because I've pretty much ever since I was like after eighth grade, I kind of perceived myself as an extrovert because I kind of came out of my shell and I was like, all right, I love talking to people, I love being around people, this is the best. But I have like social anxiety and I have regular anxiety and I have depression and I have a lot of health problems that make it hard for me to interact with people. So it's like I am pretty sure that I'm an extrovert, but being around people is still exhausting just because of all my health problems. So then I have to take time to, at the very least, be at home. But then if I'm at home, I'm usually on like Discord talking to people. So I would definitely say I'm more of an extrovert. So I guess we have someone that's an extrovert in the form of me, an introvert in the form of Ross, and then somewhere in between in the form of Erica. So I think that's a pretty good balance of um, or resources to choose from.
Yeah, I agree.
So, what, Erica, would you say is a big difference between making friends whenever it comes to an introvert versus an extrovert?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think I think maybe the hardest part is kind of that initial step of like reaching out. Like, I think even for me on my days when I'm feeling really extroverted, it does take me like a second to like work myself up and be like, no, I'm gonna tell that person that I really like their shoes or whatever. Like, I still have to hype myself up to do that. And I feel like maybe the more introverted you are, like the harder it can be to kind of put yourself out there for the first step of like, making a new connection, which can lead to a friendship. Sometimes, not always necessarily, but
Mm.
that's kind of like the first step. And I feel like that's hard even if you're an extrovert, actually.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the idea that like reaching out to people is hard to do, and it is something I want to talk about more whenever we discuss maintaining friends. But on the idea of making friends, I think, um, like for example, our friendship. It started off with us reaching out to each other. And that just became a more and more frequent occurrence until it got to a point where we were so comfortable with each other, we could just, reach out and be like, hey, let's just talk on the phone. And then we would just talk about who knows what, lots of different things over the years. And I think either person having taking that first leap of faith and saying, hey, I you know, want to have something here, some kind of relationship, you know, and see where things go is really hard. And I think that could be said with like it's weird I guess to say this, but like even with like family, you have to like say, "Hey, I want to like reach out and make friends with you if you've lost touch with them or if you're not really in contact with them as much." Like sometimes you have to like reignite friendships you've had with family or with friends or with just like about anyone. And those relationships, where whatever they may be, in whatever regard, whether it be like a work friend or a just school friend or a social friend or an online friend, you have to be willing to make that first step and just that leap of faith and say, I'm putting my front foot forward and hoping that you will take a step with me in this journey of this relationship, whatever kind it may be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like I always end up going on to the idea of like maintaining friends more so because I feel like I've always been pretty good at making friends, but I've struggled with maintaining friendships over the years.
Oh, I suck at doing that.
It's
It's
hard.
so hard. It's so
It's
hard.
I feel like almost anyone would agree. Maybe not anyone,
li-
but
life gets
sorry.
in the way, and then next thing you know, you're like it's been years.
Yeah. I feel like most people would agree with the idea that maintaining friendships is harder than making them. Um, in fact, Ross, what are some struggles you've seen with maintaining friendships? And that could include family, friends, work, school, or etc.
Oh, what struggles have I faced
Yeah.
maintaining friendships? Uh, I lack communication skills. uh, I just like if you're not in my immediate life, I don't like being on my phone, so I'm not messaging you. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
So yeah, just utter lack of communication skills and willing to reach out and go above and beyond.
So, with that in mind, would you say that it's something though that you would want to work on?
Uh, yeah, maybe eventually.
Okay. Erica, would you say that there's any like maybe not like advice yeah, I guess advice that you could give Ross in like maintaining friendships that you've or maybe like tips or tricks you've picked up over the years in your own personal journeys?
I guess maybe just kind of what I was thinking about, Ross, when you were saying that that's like a really hard part about maintaining it, I think is kind of, it just makes me think of like my different friendships that I do have. We kind of have found a different sort of balance of like how much we check in with each other. Like some friends, I mean, like some of my like best friends, like I will be texting them, like every other day or like every, like a couple times a week, like, just catching up on how they're doing. And then some friends, like from like, past kind of seasons of my life, like I might not even talk to them more
I
than
love
like
that past
a couple
seasons of
times a
your
year.
life. Your
You
your
know
life
what
is
I
now a
mean?
TV show. I love it. Some characters leave and then they get recast. It could
Yes.
be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But then, like, I still think of them as my friend, and I still know that, like, in a couple months when I think about calling them and then I do get to chat with them, like, it'll be just as good that we got to catch up as those other friendships where we, like, talk more often. I feel like there's just, like, a different balance for, like, each friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that came to my mind whenever Ross was talking about that, not to like put you on the spot, Ross, or like, oh, this is what Ross needs to do better, but for anyone who listens to this and wants to be better at maintaining friendships, is don't get in this idea that it has to be done a certain way. Like Erica was saying, there are so many varieties to the friendships that we maintain and have where they can be done in so many different ways. I have friends where, like Erica, for example, we talk on the phone every few weeks as of right now. And in the past, it'd been like every week we talked on the phone. For a while, every other day or every few days we talked on the phone. And but over the years, that's changed, and I don't know where it'll be in the future. But as long as we stay in touch and continue to stay in touch a certain way that is good and healthy for both of us, we can help maintain that friendship that we have. Whereas I have friends, I have two really good friends named Michael and Yanara that I met through playing D&D, and I met them online, and I was their dungeon master, and now I talk to them almost every single day on Discord, and we play board games together, we play other games, video games together, and sometimes we just sit and talk. And you know, those are two totally different friendships that I have with people, and they're done in two totally different ways. And so just I know you said you don't like being on your phone and you don't like texting people, and whereas there might be some people that want to be reached out to that way, I feel like most people want to be reached out in different ways. If that's like, if for you that ends up being sending letters to someone and you guys send a letter every month to each other, awesome. If that works for you, that's amazing. If it's emailing each other, sending an email once a month or every week, I've done that before. That got old for me though, and I ended up just doing voice recordings every week to some of my friends. Like I've had friends who are missions, and I would do voice recordings to them every week, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed those times. I just remember always looking forward to that next message or that next voice recording email from my friend who was in Germany at the time, and it was just a wonderful thing to have that from them. And so, whatever it may be where you are wanting to maintain these friendships that you have in your life, don't be afraid to let those friendships change in how you communicate with one another. And don't be afraid to try new ways to communicate with each other. Um, and the next topic that I want to talk, or first of all, is there anything else either of you wanted to say about that?
Nah, I'm good.
Just that I totally agree.
Okay. So the next thing I just wanted to talk about before we end is when it comes to maintaining and making friendships, we did briefly talk about this for a little bit, but it is hard. It is not going to be easy, but don't take it personally when someone else doesn't reach out to you. Unless you're, I think, like married to them,
Well, I hope so.
like unless you're like married to them as one of the, or you're like their child, or not their child, but like maybe their child,
You
or
imagine.
I imagine the few cases where it's like an exception is like if you are related to them or married to them, and even then there are exceptions, because like the only people I ever expect to reach out to me on a regular basis are my girlfriend as of right now and my like parents. Other than that, like I don't take it personally whenever like my sister doesn't message me once a week or once a month, or like my brothers don't message me, um because I know they have lives. I know they're busy, and I know how hard it is to be that first person to reach out to someone. Truly, I believe that if you want to stay in contact with someone, sometimes you have to be the one who's consistently reaching out to them. And hopefully, you can hope and have faith that they will return that like favor and reciprocate those feelings of wanting to stay in touch and reach out to you as much as you reach out to them. But even then, it's still so hard to stay in contact as much as we as humans want to be as social creatures.
Yeah.
So Ross, how have you seen people reach out to you in your life?
Yeah, many ways. Uh, they've reached out on the phone, on Facebook, on said hey at the grocery store. You know, those classic movie things.
Yeah. So, I guess I just want to end with my last thought, and then a thought from each of you, and then we can call it quits there. So, my last thought is just, yeah, just don't lose hope or faith that someone cares about you, or that they value you in their lives, because so many more people care about you than you might think. And making and maintaining friends is so hard to do, especially maintaining friendships. And don't be disheartened just because someone hasn't reached out to you in a while. Try reaching out to them. Try being that first person to serve and to show you your love towards them. And I am positive that they will reciprocate in some way those feelings if you truly believe them to be your friend. And if not, hey, maybe they're more of an acquaintance than
Time
a
to
friend.
move on.
Yeah, maybe it's time to move on. Some friendships live and they burn and then they burn out. Some are meant to last a whole lifetime. Some
There,
like Erica was saying,
They're
are
like
meant
a
to last
box
us-
of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
Okay.
like Erica was saying, some are meant to just last a season. So Ross, any final thoughts?
Uh, not really.
Okay.
I said my two pieces. Now I have nothing else.
All right, Erica.
I guess yeah, I'll just say I really liked what you said about, like they'll relationships, friendships or otherwise, will grow and change over time and don't be like afraid of the change. Like I know it's like scary if it feels like something's like shifting away from like a good thing that you knew it used to be, but like just try to be like looking forward to like the ways that it could be in the future. Like it should be exciting
Yeah, it should be
for
exciting.
things to grow and change. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for both of you, or to both of you, for joining me and helping me with this. I really appreciate it.
No
We,
problem.
just so you guys know, we did almost do, I believe, double the required time. So
Nice.
nice.
That should be. You should get an extra 10 points for anything over
Well,
per
I hope I
minute.
get 80 points because this is about a month late.
Oh. Then, but yeah, that's the extra credits. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.